Edexcel AS Business Studies Unit 2A Operations Management, a revision screencast. In this section of the syllabus, you need to know about market orientation and the design mix, production methods and efficiency, capacity utilisation, stock control, lean management, quality management techniques and consumer protection legislation. So first of all, market orientation means focusing on what customers require and trying to meet those requirements. Now, customers don't buy the same products forever, which is why we need to be aware of this product life cycle model. So we've looked at this, we can look at this in both operations management and marketing. It's the same model, but basically we're tracking the sales of a product over time. So we look at the sales level and the period of time. So usually products have negative sales during the research and development phase because money's being spent but not earned. We've got the introduction phase where products are launched onto the market, growth phase where sales start to rise rapidly, but in both of those stages we have got high advertising spending. Maturity is when sales start to reach a peak and flatten out, and at that stage the product is generating a lot of revenue for the company, but because customers don't buy the same products forever, eventually that product will fall into decline. Now, we'll look at extension strategies for the for the product life cycle when we look at marketing. Enough just to say at this point that customers don't buy the same products forever, so businesses need to use market orientation to stay ahead of the game. And they need to consider three aspects in the design of their product. First of all, aesthetics, which is what the product looks like. Secondly, function, how it works, how useful it is. And finally, economics, whether it is actually, financially viable and whether it's going to be cost effective to produce. So producing things, we're looking now at production methods and efficiency. So businesses either work in the primary, secondary or tertiary sector. Primary sector, obtain raw materials, so coal mining. Secondary sector, manufacture things. And tertiary sector, involved in selling or service. So the UK is very much sort of focused towards the tertiary sector, and that's the biggest employer in this country. So when businesses are producing their products, they have to make decisions about whether they're going to be capital or labour intensive in their approaches. So capital intensive means use a lot of machinery. Now obviously machinery can be more cost effective, although the machines obviously often cost a lot of money to buy and set up and train workers. Machines can obviously do jobs that are far more dangerous than workers would be able to do. They can work 24/7, they don't phone in sick, they don't need tea breaks. So capital intensive production is where many manufacturing companies have actually gone towards. And it's more the service and selling that in the tertiary sector that tends to be labour intensive, which means using a lot of people. Businesses make a decision about outsourcing, so it might be that they can outsource kind of support industries, so perhaps outsourcing cleaning, or it might be that they can outsource some elements of production to try and make their process more efficient. So they could outsource some of the production methods and some of the production processes and sort of bring back into the company partially finished products. Businesses also need to decide whether they're going to adopt a mass or batch production approach. Mass production is continuously producing the same product, and obviously big companies like Cadbury's go for a mass production situation with many of their big sellers. Batch production is when you sell, you make one group of products, so one batch of products, then you can change the specification slightly before you make the next batch of products. So we might be talking about kind of piping in different colours, for example. A batch production approach might enable smaller companies to still benefit from some economies of scale. So if they can build that into the lead times with their customers and perhaps make a batch of one particular product and keep some of those in stock and then make a batch of another product, so they've got a decent production run on their machinery. Capacity utilisation is one issue that businesses need to think about when they're trying to improve their efficiency, and capacity utilisation is looking at and measuring the actual output as a percentage of the maximum possible output. So we do the calculation you can see at the top of your screen here. And many manufacturing businesses aim for between 80 and 90% capacity utilisation, which allows them some space to do some rush orders if necessary and to allow for routine maintenance to take place. So in manufacturing it's unusual to target 100% capacity utilisation, because that then means you've got no room for manoeuvre. So if you want to do some routine maintenance, you can't do that without disrupting the production. So usually looking at 80 to 90% means that you're intending to have some machines idle, so you can allow some rotation there and get your routine maintenance done. However, in service industries, they might opt for a close to 100% capacity utilisation. For example, a theatre would want to sell 100% of the tickets for a show. An airline would want to sell 100% of the tickets for their flight. Stock control is the fourth section. Businesses need sufficient stocks to fulfil their orders, but holding stocks has various costs. Opportunity cost means that the money that you've spent in buying the stock can't then be used for something else. There's storage costs, risks of theft, insurance costs, and the costs of stock control, so actually having people to manage the warehouse with the stocks. So we need to have this balance between having enough stock to fulfill our orders and having, sort of a small amount of stock, so we don't have these costs to too great an extent. But we need to keep in mind our lead time, the time taken from when the order is placed to when the materials are received. So we can manage our stock levels by setting a minimum and maximum stock level, and then considering our lead time, adding a reorder level. And what we do is we have our stock at whatever level, and then as time goes on we use that stock. Once that stock has been used, we can see the stock level reducing on our stock control chart. When we hit a reorder level, which is here 40,000, we then place an order with our suppliers. Okay, and we place the reorder quantity, as you can see, so going from minimum to maximum stock level. So in this case the reorder quantity would be 50,000 tonnes or units. Okay, so 70 minus 20, so we can see the 70 at the top here, 20 at the bottom. We can see our reorder quantity. That takes us from our minimum stock back up to our maximum stock, but we have to allow this lead time, so we have to allow the time from when we place the order to where we actually receive it, and that then puts our stock straight back up to maximum. So that's how we can control our stocks and try and get this balance between enough stock to fulfill orders but not so much stock as we have our huge costs associated with holding them. The section on number 5 is lean management, and that encompasses a range of strategies that can cut costs. So it's an umbrella term, and the idea is that lower costs give higher profit margins or the capacity to charge lower prices and gain a competitive advantage. So if lean management strategies are successfully introduced, they should boost the reputation of the firm due to lower prices or better quality. So let's look at some of the techniques used under lean management. First of all, time-based management in production. So that's about better organisation of the factory, so you don't allow people much scope for wandering around. Flexible specialisation is about having machines that can do multiple jobs. So you can buy a machine but it's able to do different things for you. So you can specialise but in a variety of different ways. Stock control strategies would be the second lean management technique, and that relates to just-in-time stock control, so where your stock is delivered just as it's needed on the production line, and Kanban. The idea of Kanban is that customer demand, so customer orders, pulls stock into the production process, and that we can trace the stock as it goes through the production process back to one particular order. Quality control is another lean management technique. If we can reduce waste, that obviously will reduce our costs, and the target for lean management is 0 defects, so trying to do everything right first time. In terms of developing our products, we might do simultaneous engineering, and this involves thinking about various stages in the product development process at the same time. So thinking about the design of the product, but simultaneously considering a brand name for the product, how it might be marketed, where we might source the materials for it, how we might organise production. So we try to do those things as far as possible at the same time, but that does involve a lot of teamwork and a lot of communication. And finally, our fifth lean management technique is people management, and that's about looking at multi-skilling, so you've got flexibility in your workforce, and this philosophy of continuous improvement, so everybody strives to do things as well as they can and looks for ways in which that process can be improved. So we've touched already on quality in terms of reducing waste and zero defects. So how can we manage our quality? Well, you need to know about these different quality management techniques. First of all, quality control is a traditional method of quality control which involves inspecting finished products. Usually we've invested time, money, resources into a product that, if it had failed in the early stages of production, would be a waste. So quality control is not a very efficient method of managing quality and has been replaced now with quality assurance, which is a more comprehensive strategy and involves considering quality throughout the design and production phase, not just at the end. So thinking about the product, how it's designed, trying to make sure that the design is as robust as possible, and then managing the quality all the way through the production process. Taking that one step further is the total quality management philosophy, which is the idea that everybody is responsible for quality, whatever they do throughout the organisation, and it introduces this concept of internal customers. So you strive to give customer service to your internal customers, the people who you work with within the organisation. A quality circle we've mentioned before is a group of employees from different areas of the business who meet regularly to look at and discuss quality issues or where quality could be improved, and they make recommendations to management. And Kaizen is the idea that everybody considers how things could be done better all the time and strives to do everything to the best of their ability. So Kaizen is a Japanese term for continuous improvement. So finally, the last section of this revision screencast is about consumer protection legislation. Now, you don't need to know specific names or dates of acts, so don't stress about learning those, but you need to know the philosophy, or what the driving force behind the act is and how people are protected. So the Sale of Goods Act states that goods must be of satisfactory quality and free from defects, fit for the intended purpose and as described. The Companies Act states that firms must not fix prices, limit production, or charge different prices to different customers. So the Sale of Goods Act protects us in terms of the products that we buy, and the Companies Act protects us in terms of the prices that we pay. And these acts are both enforced by industry regulators and the Office of Fair Trading. So industry regulators would focus on industries like the Ofgem focuses on the Office of Gas and Electricity Markets. Ofwat is the water regulator, so looking at privatised utilities. The Office of Fair Trading, in conjunction with the Competition Commission, look at other companies and make sure that everybody is competing and that customers have choice. Okay, that's the end of this screencast. Good luck with your exam.